I had like long blonde hair all the way down to my arse. And so I'd regularly get misgendered, or I saw it as misgendered at the time. And I was kind of realizing that I didn't mind.
What was the moment when you decide I'm gonna make it official?
I did have a group of friends there who I don't think enjoyed the fact that I was trans very much, and they kind of like cast me out a little bit after I came out. And there were like quite a few disagreements that came from me just existing around them. Nora just like super friendly to trans people generally. It's got one of the highest trans populations in the UK, I think, actually.
Norwich.
Yeah.
Has there been any like a challenge that, or the moment was the most challenging moment for you?
I was in that kind of like in-between period where I was like, should I use the men, should I use the women's? And that was really difficult for me. Probably just harassment in Birmingham. Birmingham's really bad for that.
Yeah.
Like people trying to get me to get in their cars and stuff, all sorts of
wow.
weird guys, like, yeah.
So I can relate as well. When first I started transition, when I was in the in-between phase, is it a boy, is it a girl? I think that was probably the time when I got attacked the most.
But I play keys, guitar.
Yeah.
I do vocals. Actually, there's gonna be more on the flyer post. So I like
Wow.
keys, guitar, vocals, ocarina, drums, bass.
Do you enjoy being on the stage?
Absolutely hate with every like fiber of my being.
So your genre is alt pop.
Alt pop, yeah.
Can you please tell us what is it? What does creativity mean to you? Is your writing, music, connected to your identity? What is your message that you want to share with your music?
The message I want to share with my music.
It's gonna make me cry again. It's emotional. There are so many trans people who don't have the voice. How did the Supreme Court ruling affect your mental health?
It's weird to say that my identity is political, but you know, in this day and age, in a sense, it is. The world makes it political, you know.
Everything's going backwards, so we can't afford to be silent.
So I don't know if I should say the name of it yet.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Trans Crash, the podcast where every single Thursday we dive deep into lives, stories and experiences of trans women. I'm your host Pevi, and I'm so glad you are watching, you are listening, wherever you are. It means so much to me. Your support is truly appreciated, and thank you so much for sharing the podcast with the world. Our today's guest is Izzy Kershaw. Hi, Izzy.
Hey. Yeah.
Izzy is a music producer, soul artist, and a trans woman, and I'm so happy she is here with us today.
Yeah.
Hi, Izzy.
Thank you for having me on, Peggy. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I have tradition on the podcast. What makes you happy question. So what makes you happy, Izzy?
I think being in like a state of intense focus really makes me happy. Like especially when I'm working on music and you just get really stuck into the nitty gritty of like production stuff, and I'm just like lost in it, and there's like nothing else. That makes me like amazingly happy. Or just like being really stuck on a good video game. That also kind of makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can really relate to you with when you said getting lost in the music and the creativity. You know, I'm a very creative person myself.
Yeah.
So I know exactly the feeling of just being in the moment. You forget about anything else, and you're just in your element, doing what makes you happy and what you enjoy doing, right?
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's a great feeling. Yeah.
So you're a trans woman. When did you know you were a trans woman? What was the first moment?
The first moment I really knew, and I denied it for a very long time after that, was probably I was like 10, and I was at this camp I go to. It was like a hippie camp called Dance Camp, and at the time I had like long blonde hair all the way down to my arse, and so I'd regularly get misgendered, or I saw it as misgendered at the time, and I was kind of realizing that I didn't mind at the time, you know, like when people were calling me she and stuff. I just kind of played along with it, and then eventually it got to a stage where I remember I found this lighter in the field. I know this sounds very like odd. I found this lighter in the field and I was playing with it on the back of the car on the way home. And I remember making a conscious decision being like, I'm going to push this down. I'm not going to think about it for a very long time. And yeah, and needless to say, I didn't think about it for ages
Mm-hmm.
until I was like 20, and then really came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was the moment when you decide I'm gonna make it official?
I kind of had that moment stolen from me a little bit in a way.
Ah.
I mean, I guess in a way I didn't have it stolen from me, but I I came out to like a very small group of friends in university, and of course I was posting photos of my nights out and stuff, and my mum saw me in the clothes that I was wearing, and she like just phoned me one day and was like, "Are you trans?" And I just cried down the phone
Yeah.
to her. And my mum's someone who do you know who Jermaine Greer is?
No.
Okay, she was like a kind of like famous TERF
Uh-huh.
that my mum was kind of interested in reading.
Right.
And so I assumed for a really long time that she wouldn't take it very well. But like I was crying down the phone to her, and then suddenly she was like, "Right, how do we do this? How do we go to like where do we go see to like make this happen? And like how do we get you on hormones? This, that, and the other." And I was just like blown away that she reacted like that in a way, because I just didn't expect her to suddenly flip from being this very like, you know, saying kind of borderline transphobic things to suddenly just being like, "Oh, my child is trans," do a whole 180. Yeah. Which is like crazy.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Would you change anything? Or do you like the way it turned out?
I think it turned out the best, like, because I probably would have like been in the closet to my parents for quite a while if she
Okay.
didn't like
So
actually.
you
come.
don't wish
Yeah.
like, oh, I wish it was me who took the first step. Are you kind of happy that your mom did it for you?
I think in retrospect, I am happy that she did it for me.
Yeah.
I know I said like stolen from me, but I didn't mean that in the like the kind
In a
of
bad
like,
way.
Yeah, I didn't mean it in
Okay.
that bad way. You know. Yeah.
That's interesting. You don't hear this often.
No, yeah. Usually there's a whole like you have to prepare your coming out and everything, and I just
Yeah.
sort of just like blurted out after someone just asking if I was trans. But
I
yeah,
think that saves you lots of stress and anxiety.
yeah, it certainly did. Yeah.
Yeah. Is your family and friends circle supportive right now?
Yeah, they really are. I mean, at the time when I came out, I was at Birmingham studying classical composition at the Birmingham Conservatoire. Sounds very fancy. It's not that fancy. But I did have a group of friends there who I don't think enjoyed the fact that I was trans very much, and they kind of like cast me out a little bit after I came out, and there were like quite a few disagreements that came from me just existing around them. So that wasn't great. But now in the circle that I'm actually in currently, it's all fine and dandy. Like I have a really nice group of friends. Norwich like super friendly to trans people generally. It's got one of the highest trans populations in the UK, I think, actually.
Norwich.
Yeah. And bisexual population, I think.
Bisexual and trans
Bisexual and
population
trans.
in UK.
Yeah.
Norwich. What about gay?
I think that a bit lower. Obviously, I think Brighton's got the highest.
Brighton is number one, isn't it?
Yeah, for like
gays.
gays.
For the gays.
For the gays.
So trans Norwich. What's the other one? Do you know any other places in UK that like very big trans population?
I imagine Brighton is also quite a big trans population, but I think it is the Norwich that's the biggest. I don't really know about the rest. I just remember that because they did that census like a while ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know London is pretty good, but I don't know per capita. I don't know. I know just there's lots of people, so there's a big chance for lots of trans people, you know. But I'm not sure about other like cities or places in UK. I'll have a look later because I'm really interested. Actually, maybe there's a better place to live.
Come to Norwich. Come to Norwich. Yeah. It's great. Like trust. Although if everything's happening in London, so it's understandable that like
that's what I love about London.
Yeah.
It's like
everyone's doing something.
Yeah. That's what I love about it. Has there been any like a challenge that, or the moment was the most challenging moment for you?
Probably the most challenging moments for me were like the very early transition moments. I think even things like I know we're going to get onto the whole bathroom law stuff later, but at the time, I was in that kind of like in between period where I was like, should I use the men? Should I use the women's? And that was really difficult for me. And one of the things with this whole trans law that's you know happening, whatever, is it makes me kind of feel like I have to go back to that time where I'm like worrying about it. But yeah, we'll get onto that later. But like that was generally like the most difficult, most challenging thing, honestly. And probably just harassment in Birmingham. Birmingham's really bad for that.
Yeah.
Like like people trying to get me to get in their cars and stuff, all sorts of weird
wow.
guys, like um
Yeah, I
yeah.
feel like it's once we transition or once we embrace our new identity, and I've mentioned this many times on here, when you don't really necessarily fit into the stereotype of how a man should look like, how a woman should look like. So if you're in between, you don't have to be even trans. You can be masculine presenting woman. You can be a feminine presenting man, right? If you are in something in between, you always have the stares. Even before the Supreme Court decision, or way before it was in everyone's faces, it was always, oh, that's something different about you. So I can relate as well. When first I started transition, when I was in the in between phase, is it a boy, is it a girl? That's I think that was probably the time when I got attacked the most. Yeah.
It's where you just feel more uncomfortable because you're still discovering yourself as well. So I think people kind of sense that as well. I don't know. Yeah, that's my theory
agree,
about it.
actually. I
Yeah,
agree. I think you radiate your energy somehow, and people can really sense that you you might be finding yourself, you might be starting some sort of new journey. Yeah.
yeah. No, yeah, I totally think that. Yeah, 100%.
So you are an independent artist.
Yes.
I know you make music.
Yeah.
You study artistic development.
Artist development. Yeah.
Artist development.
Course is coming to a close soon, but that's what I'm studying. Yeah.
Okay.
At the moment.
How did it all start? What made you start?
I actually got like a message on Instagram from a guy called Ian Johnson, who is like he's not one of the tutors on the course, but he's kind of someone who like goes around and kind of like scouts people and stuff. And he kind of scouted me out and was like, "Hey, I think you'd be interested in this course." But what the course essentially is like back in the 80s or like in the 90s, they don't do this so much now. But if they find an artist they like, they would have taken them through artist development. So they'd be like give them media training, all of the different stuff that you would need, like how the business works, what is PRS, like publishing rights, all that kind of stuff. How do you get your money in, blah 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 blah. And eventually that just kind of slowly phased out. So this course is kind of bringing that back for people. In a way, so it's a course that has a qualification, but it's based around that core idea. Yeah, so it's mostly about the business side of music. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been doing it for how long now?
Nearly up to a year. It's just like a 1 year like little course. Yeah, but I've learned so much from it. It's been great.
Yeah. Did you do music before?
I did classical music before.
Classical music.
Which I did enjoy. But there were its ups and downs surrounding it. But yeah.
Did you play any instrument?
I play 5 different instruments. So I play
now?
Yeah, I guess well not currently right now.
No.
But I play like keys, guitar,
Yeah.
I do vocals. Actually there's gonna be more than 5. I describe it. Like
Wow.
keys, guitar, vocals, ocarina, drums, bass. And that's it, 6. So yeah.
Have you always been around music?
Yeah, like always been
Yeah.
around. My family's been like very musical.
Musicians.
Yeah.
So it's in your blood.
In my blood, yeah. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you study now, and you also a music producer.
Yeah.
What's the difference between like producing music and playing like an instrument? Does it all come in hand, or is there a big difference?
You could be a music producer and never play an instrument, I think. I mean, you could do it all with MIDI, I reckon, or like some people use samples, which is another way to produce. But production is basically accumulating sounds together and making it pleasing to the person on the other side. And usually production means like you'd use like some kind of like DAW, digital audio workstation, like Logic Pro, or like FL Studio, or sorry, I think I just buzzed the mic. But yeah, that sort of thing. But yeah.
So when you make music, you are on the stage, or you are just in the backstage?
So when I'm doing my like solo work and like for my own album and stuff, I have done like live shows. I recently did a show called Alchemy Live, which is where I performed my entire album Alchemy for a live audience, and that was really fun. That was a lot of fun. And I think next year I'm probably going to concentrate a little bit less on doing doing live, and a little bit more like hunkering down and just creating loads of music and then
Mhm.
kind of picking and curating from that. But yeah,
Do you enjoy being on the stage?
I do once I'm on it. I think the early stage of like waiting to go on stage, I absolutely hate with every like fiber of my being. Like I just end up like pacing back and forth and just like counting my steps and like trying to go over my lyrics over and over again, and it's like mind racking. Like it's so mind racking, nerve wracking. I just like I just like smush two words together. But yeah, like it's really nerve wracking, like straight up.
Yeah. So you prefer just being in a studio, making the music,
Yeah, that's my safe place.
release it, it's out there, people can enjoy
Yeah,
it.
I can make as many mistakes as I want, and then I can just like
Yeah.
noodle around and see what
Yeah.
sounds good. Yeah,
That's the problem with performing live, when there's no second
there's
chance.
there's no room for error. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you just have to do it.
Yeah.
The pressure is real, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So your genre is alt pop.
Alt pop. Yeah.
Can you please tell us what is it? Because I have no idea.
Yeah, I would say it's alt pop mixed with a little bit of trap metal is another thing that I
Trap metal.
Trap metal. Yeah, that's you know.
It's a metal trap in wrong body.
No, not quite. You know, not great. So it's like you know, like trap beats with like big 808s, but with like really growly vocals and stuff. It's kind of trap metal. But alt pop is it takes all the kind of good, interesting stuff about pop, that kind of beats like the way that you would, you know, like catchy melodies, that sort of stuff, but then tries to explore just a little bit outside of that. So often it'll take from other places like rock, metal, I don't know, all sorts of places like jazz, funk, you know. So it's kind of a bit of a fusion music, but you wouldn't call it fusion because it's more on the kind of pop side of things. Yeah.
What does creativity mean to you?
I think it's very similar to what it means to be in my like happy place with the first question. It's very similar to just being in that moment and just like ignoring everything else, just being totally enveloped and just letting everything just like flow out. I love that so much. Yeah. No, that's definitely what creativity means to me. And it also just means you get to explain things that would take like a long time to explain, but you can give people that feeling like kind of in almost in a, like I would say a more efficient method with music sometimes. Sometimes it's a bit more vague, but people can kind of put their own meaning onto things, which I also quite like. Creativity is
do
what it
you
is.
write lyrics as well?
I do write lyrics. Yeah.
She does everything, everyone. Lyrics, instruments, singing, music, everything. That's incredible. Is your writing music connected to your identity?
I try not to make it sometimes, but it's hard to not do that sometimes. I've had some like kind of semi-political tracks, like especially in my earlier career stuff. So sometimes that kind of like sense of identity will come into it. I think I kind of want to do that more recently. I think I've been avoiding that and being like, I shouldn't let politics bleed into my music. But after this, again, this new law thing, which I hate, I just want to like get some of that out into lyrics. And I've actually been writing some work that I don't like to be too on the nose about things because I want everyone to be able to relate to it. Yeah. But at the same regard, I have been channeling that into my music recently.
So when you don't write about your identity, what do you usually write about?
So I usually write about relationships. I write about hardship in general. I write about mental health. And again, they're all influenced by my identity in a way, but it's very much, it takes like a backseat. So yeah, that's my answer for that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And where do you find inspiration?
I find inspiration like everywhere, in places you wouldn't expect. Like sometimes I just hear someone say something, like just a sentence that I'm like, that would just be an amazing lyric if it was just reworked a little bit. So I'll often pinch things that people have just said in jest or something, and I'm like, that's amazing. I have to like. So sometimes my creativity isn't always necessarily just, you know, out of the dome or whatever. It is sometimes like I'll pinch things and be like, write that down or whatever. But you know, yeah.
Have you always had like this creative brain that it's always thinking about making new things and creating new music and I would say the brain of the artist.
Yeah, no, I think I have. I think you have to have like a certain brain for it. I think a lot of, side note, I think a lot of like neurodivergent people often get into this work because often a lot of people like ADHD and stuff like that, which I have. Yeah. Our minds just go everywhere, you know. So like, especially like early life or whatever, like when I was like sort of between the ages of like 5 and like 12 or whatever, I would just go out in the garden with like a stick, and I used to do fire twirling. I'd like to twirl it up and like come up with like weird fantasy worlds in my head and stuff. I don't think I've ever said that to an audience before, but
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what? I think you're not alone. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
I've got ADHD as well, which is really hard for me to make this happen, run this podcast, because it's a big mess and it's always spontaneous.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to talk about it because it's the creative process.
Yeah,
And
100%.
I've realized there is no single day that is the same. It's always different. I never know what's gonna happen. It's always, I would also say, not just my creativity and my work, but every single day on daily basis, everything is influenced by how I feel and my mood. So, do you have a similar experience?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, when
Like,
sometimes some people, they say, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna do this, and they stick to the plan.
oh no,
But
that's not me.
Exactly. As hard as I try, if I plan my day and I wake up the next day feeling depressed, anxious AF, or just not feeling like it, I'm not gonna do it. Or if there's a deadline, I'm gonna procrastinate until 7:55 to deliver the deadline that's supposed to be delivered at 8 p.m. So
I know that feeling 100%.
you have the
Yeah,
similar
100%.
experience.
There is
Yeah.
similar experience. Yeah.
So I would describe my life as this beautiful chaos that you never know what's gonna happen. It's all messy. Somehow it's organized in your brain, but in reality, it's not.
Yeah, I had this thing that I don't know how true this is because there's loads of weird misinformation about ADHD online, but it's something to do with like, especially with people with like ADHD, and one of the reasons writing lists is so important
Yeah.
is because we organize everything in our brain in our short-term memory instead of storing it in our long-term memory. So we're
Ooh.
constantly going like, okay, we're doing this, and this, and then reorganizing it over and over again, which a lot of people might be able to relate to, but like I don't know.
Yeah. No, I definitely find it helpful when I write things down, which I don't do often. I know. I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. It's just 3 tasks. But then the 3 tasks,
And then you don't know which one to start.
3 tasks feel like 3 tons in my brain.
Yeah.
3 tons of weight.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what to start. And people say, like, some people say, start with the easiest one. So you just like tick it off straight away. And some people say, start with the hardest one, because then you got it out of the way. And then you can it's just going to get better. So I don't know. What do you think? Would you start with easy or harder?
I just start with a random one. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just like whichever one I want to do today. But yeah.
What is your message that you want to share with your music?
The message I want to share with my music. I guess I don't want to share a specific message per se because I want people to read into my music what they want to read into. But I do want to actually no, tell a lie. I think there is kind of a message I want to share, which is this idea of overcoming adversity. Because often in my music, I'll have a moment of like, here is something I'm trying to overcome, and then here's the moment that it has been overcome, and then we bring it to a close, right? Often I do that in like the middle eight. It's kind of a classic thing. But yeah, I don't like writing like overly negative music that doesn't have like a nice resolution to it.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like, you know, like a little bit of CBT, but for, you know, for your ears or whatever. I mean, CBT is all speaking, so I don't know why would it be for your ears anyway. But you know, that's
cognitive behavioral therapy.
Cognitive,
Yeah.
Not the other
Cognitive
one.
behavioral
Not the other one. Not the other CBT.
Not CBT. CBT drops.
Yeah, cognitive behavioral therapy. That one. Yeah.
That must be a new single, CBT. Is your audience? Would you say is your audience trans? Do you know your audience? Do you think you have lots of trans listeners?
I definitely have a lot of trans listeners.
Yeah?
I know that for certain because a lot of the people who comment on my Instagram and stuff, like a lot of them seem to, like when I check their profiles and stuff, seem to have the little flag, you know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say all of them
The
are.
best country in the world.
The best country in the world. Yeah, I wouldn't say all of them are though. I think I have like a good mix, but I definitely have way more trans audience than like I say like probably a most cisgender artists probably do. Yeah, just because of the
They can relate.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think it's really nice that you have this kind of community and you can share your feelings, your journey, your opinions with your trans audience through your music. Because if we look at media, um, what media is like you share information from someone to someone, right? Whether it's radio, TV, social media. And your way how to share your information with the world is through music. And I find it really empowering. I would feel empowered if I was making music that would be shared with people who get me, people who understand me. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm really lucky to have the audience I have. Like 100%. Like I love all the positive little comments I get every time I like
Yeah.
share a snippet of my music or something on Instagram. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's been really good.
It's gonna make me cry again. It's emotional. No, it's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's really beautiful to experience that you have that. Because there are so many trans people who don't have the voice, who are not doing podcast, who are not making any music, who are not extroverts, artists. They're just I don't want to say ordinary people because we are all extraordinary, but they are not performers. Let's say that, and sometimes they have no one to share their struggle with or their experience with, and they might just have some friends and family. But I think the fact that you live your truth through your creativity and share your life and inspire other trans people, I think it's incredibly rewarding.
I think you've made me realize that maybe I sometimes take that for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No, yeah.
Because, and I think the same about me as well. I'm like thinking, this is our reality. Like you've been doing music all your life. That's all you know. That's your reality. People look at you like, wow, she's a musician. She plays 5, 6 instruments. You said, right? You write lyrics. You perform on the stage. You do all these amazing things. And for you, it's the norm. For you, it's just who you are. But for some people, it's incredible. It's a gift. They're like, wow, how talented you are. And there are people who are not like that, and I think social media now really helps to share your life with others. So you don't have to be a journalist or a TV anchor, or artist to share your life with the world through your art, through your music. But right now on social media, you can really express yourself, introduce yourself,
Yeah.
and make other people feel that they are not alone. We're going to talk about social media and how we deal with negativity and hate comments on social media later on Patreon. But before we go there, how did the Supreme Court ruling affect your mental health?
Negatively, let's put it that way. Like I've actually been using. I've got my little radar key. I've been using the disabled bathroom ever since.
What is radar key?
A radar key it's like often they have a little red thing on it, and you use them to get into a disabled bathroom. If anyone hasn't got one, they're super easy to get on Amazon. 100%. You can just grab them on Amazon, and you don't have to be disabled to have one. You can just buy them.
Wow.
Yeah. So because not a lot of people know that, and I think it's important that people know that because being able to use those spaces is important when you feel unsafe. Like yeah, and I don't always even today I don't have much makeup on. So I don't always feel super confident sometimes walking into the women's if I was just like had a little bit of stubble or something. And yeah, and so since that decision has been made, I've been using the disabled ever since. And it makes me feel really anxious whenever I'm out and about because I'm like, is there going to be a disabled bathroom here? Is there going to be? Yeah.
That was my next question because I was gonna ask you, what is the ratio of bathrooms that they have disabled bathrooms?
I don't know the exact ratio,
Like your experience.
but from my experience, I've managed to mostly find them, but I
Okay.
have been quite scared to go out to certain places, and I know from past experiences, being with friends who are disabled, definitely not all places have disabled bathrooms. And with the rulings that I think it was the Human Rights Commission put out, they made it so much less clear, which is annoying. It was saying that trans women should be using the men's bathrooms, but then also sometimes trans women shouldn't be using the men's bathrooms. So it's like Schrodinger's bathroom.
What is the official statement?
That's basically the official statement. So it's Schrodinger's bathroom. You walk into the bathroom and you're like, should I be here? Should I not be here? And you, like it's ridiculous. Like I don't know. Like yeah, it is what it is. But I actually saw on the way into the podcast, there was a like protest like going through Liverpool Street, which made people feel really like happy when I saw that.
Oh, protest for
Yeah.
like pro-trans?
Yeah, pro-trans protest.
Pro-trans.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like coming in, I was like, yeah, like it made me feel
Yes.
so much happier when I was like
Yes.
walking into Liverpool Street and
Yeah.
everyone was like, I heard the chanting from a while
Uh-huh.
away and I was like, I wonder if this is like a trans protest.
Were they
And then
filming a
as I was
movie?
rocking up, I saw all the flags and I was, sorry, what
Were
was
they
it?
filming a movie or was it real?
No, it was real. It was real.
Okay.
Genuinely, it was real. Like, yeah.
That makes me happy too. Yeah.
Like, people are fighting. Which,
People are fighting, yeah. And also I feel like sometimes the media, they make it so much worse than it is, you know, especially for people who are not familiar with trans people, trans issues. They just see it on the news and they just see the, you know, also because, you know, drama sells. So they always have the most scary titles, the scary, you know, anything that they want to share with the world, and it's all based on fear and spreading hate, and
100%.
we just have to be louder and stronger than before, and don't let them win.
I think I want to try and use my voice a little bit more on social
Yeah.
media surrounding this.
Do it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, because I, again, stayed away from the kind of political side of like myself and my, it's weird to say that my identity is political, but you know, in this day and age, in a sense, it is. Which
You can say whatever you want.
yeah, I know.
You can say your identity can be anything.
But yeah,
Honestly.
but yeah, the world makes it political, you know. So I've been trying to kind of steer away from that and just concentrate on my music, but we need to speak about it, so I'm going to speak about it more.
We do. Yeah. Because right now there's no time to be silent. 100%. Yeah. Especially if you see it's going backwards. Everything's going backwards. So we can't afford to be silent. Do you have any future projects?
So I don't know if I should say the name of it yet. In fact, I am going to say the name of it because it's very thematic. My next EP is actually called Crush.
Ooh.
Yeah, because you know,
how
Trans Crush
amazing!
podcast. Yeah, which is cool. That's the first time I've said that. I've been working on it. A lot of the time, I release little snippets of what I'm working on and stuff. This time, I've kept this really under wraps. And so I've got 4 like basic tracks down. I just need to kind of get lyrics down on them and stuff like that. But yeah, like it's coming soonish. I can't say a date. Because I don't like. Last time when I released my album, I gave all these dates, and then trying to meet them was like so stressful. So I'm going to prepare everything in advance and then set a date and then do all the social media stuff.
Especially if your ADHD is not worth it, the stress.
no, 100%.
Having deadlines.
But yeah.
Oh my God, we are so excited. Honestly, that's so cool that you are on Trans Crush podcast and releasing EP called Crush.
Yeah. Totally incidental, by the way. Like,
what inspired you to call it Crush?
So I kind of wanted to have. I like having themes when I release like projects. So with the last project, it was alchemy. And like the different stages that like Carl Jung was using, because like Carl Jung used alchemy to like explain the process of transformation, like internal transformation. I want to do the same thing essentially. Whereas this one it's kind of more of a simple idea. It's like I'm having all these like 1-word songs, and they're all kind of based around this idea of like distortion or like I don't know how to put it, like aggression in a way. So that it's going to be definitely more of like a trap metal-y album than an alt pop album. But yeah, exciting. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Maybe we can use your music to our teasers or
something. I'm not sure I'll be the vibe. You're welcome to, but
it's
you know,
like welcome to Transcribe. Something like that.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be singing on it, or
I'm gonna be doing more of the kind of the rapping stuff, but there will be some singing too.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have a few other supporting artists who are gonna be on it as well, because I love collaborating. It's always my like favorite thing about music. Yeah.
How many people are you gonna have on?
I actually don't know yet, but I know I've at least got 3 people involved.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah.
And it's always the most fun part, doing collaborations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to commit to that 3 because someone might drop out.
Yeah.
So if I say 3 and there's 2,
you can say names. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Still in the works.
Yeah. In the creative process.
Yes.
Yeah. Last question before we go on Patreon. That is, what is your hope for the world, for the future?
I just hope all this like reform stuff going on in the UK just like calms down. That's my big hope, and I hope that people can like see us for who we are and not actually just believe all this random rhetoric going around about us. That's honestly my biggest hope for the future. In terms of like personal hopes, I hope my next EP does well. But like, yeah, that's kind of on the sub, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? That's lower on the priorities than a.
Oh yeah. Like a second priority thing. Yeah.
Second priority.
Second priority. Yeah. I will add your links of your work in the description below our episode today. So make sure that you listen to Izzy's new music, upcoming new album as well. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience of being a trans woman here with us today. And I'm so excited to talk about more with you on Patreon, where we're going to, I think we said we're going to talk about the hate online and how we navigate, how we deal with hate online, and how it feels to be an artist that creates content online and dealing with hate. And also we're going to talk about Izzy's dating life, which I'm really excited as well. Thank you so much again. I'll see you later. To those who not going to Patreon, what are you doing? I hope you are there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. It means so much. And remember, roses are red, violets are blue. Every Thursday on Trans Crash, we going to educate you. See you next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.
It is something you have to unfortunately deal with, being like a trans person online in kind of any capacity. It's like a core fundamental aspect of who we are. It's unchangeable. You know, it is tough when you want to specifically talk about being trans in general online, because a lot of that is just gets seen as rage bait anyway.
Yeah. Let's talk about dating.
Okay.
As a trans person.
Who do I date? I'm poly, so I'm dating 2 people at the moment.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Trans and poly.
Trans and poly.
How colorful. Love it.
You want to hear the horror stories or the...
Tell me everything.
Technically, polyamory is always ethical non-monogamy, so it should be ethical. But there are definitely some people who use it as an excuse to just kind of be their bad self.
How do you find a person? And then are they in relationship already and you just join, or you in relationship and someone else joins? And how does it work with attraction? Because both of you must be attracted to the person. Isn't it so interesting? The things we learn on here. I love it.
Yeah.
That's why I love having so many different guests on the show, because we are all so different, you know. Is there in your past, like, I date more men, I date women?
There was some like stuff that I would classify as probably like abusive, I would say.